If you love Puerto Ricans, you'll remind them of two things. A, that they're not inferior and that they're capable of great things. They're capable of being rich. They're capable of owning restaurants. They're capable of owning sports teams. They're capable of owning clothing stores. They're capable of achieving milestones in scholarship and academia. They're capable of having great marriages. They're capable of being great politicians who are not corrupt. They're capable of being great ministers. They're capable of being great boxers, sculptors, singers. They're capable of all of this. Why do we go around thinking we're inferior? The trauma of conquest. When Cristobal Colón came to Borinquen, the name Borinquen, it means the land of the noble, the valiant nobles. That is, we are strong and brave, but we're also noble. When he came there with swords of steel. We had never seen steel. We were a Stone Age people. That traumatized us. We saw horses. We had never seen horses before. That traumatized us. We've not gotten over the trauma of conquest. It's time for us to shed that. It's done. We should not feel guilty about not having fought back, because that is a lie. We fought from the beginning. Thousands of Taínos died in the early 1500s fighting against Cristobal Colón and the Spaniards who came after him. There was a guy named Diego Salcedo, and he was supposed to be invincible. The Spaniards had perpetrated the myth that they were gods. Well, Aguaymana said, well, let's test it out. Drown the sucker. And they did. He didn't get up. War, that's what happened. And for years and years, they fought the Spaniards until the decimation and the genocide became so great, many of them either fled into the hills with their Taino brothers and sisters, or left the island of Puerto Rico and went to other islands. Africans fought. This nonsense that we took slavery benignly, si maestro, si patron, is a lie. It was so deep in the 1850s and in the early middle 1800s in Puerto Rico that they had laws that said you needed a passbook because they were afraid of black people. You can't go from Guayama to Manatí. It's not going to work, baby. So they said you need a passbook, just like South Africa had passbooks. In fact, they imported whites so that the Puerto Rican population would not get too black. That's how deep this was. So don't believe that blacks took this nonsense of slavery benignly and they took it benevolent. It was never benevolent, and it was never a nice thing. We have been fighting since the beginning of the conquest, whether it was Aguaymana and Guarionex, whether it was Emeterio Betances in 1868 in El Grito de Lares, or whether it was Albizu Campos in the 1950s, or the Young Lords in the 1960s. We have been fighting all the time. Nobody took this lying down. We were the ones who fought for every Latino group that's in this country today, at least on the East Coast. Let's give credit to the Mexicans because they were west of the Mississippi and they fought their butts off to determine their outcome and their future. But when it comes to the East Coast, east of the Mississippi was Puerto Ricans. Whether it was Cleveland, Boston, Philly, or New York, we fought for the right to be treated as human beings. Some of us went to jail. Some of us had to kill some people. Some of us had to do that. Some of us had to defend our communities with gangs, which I call fraternal organizations. We had to sometimes do crime in order to make ends meet. Puerto Ricans are a people who have constantly stood together when the chips were down. Now, what we need to do is get past the cult of inferiority, feeling that we can't achieve the dream. After this crazy election period is over, let's promise ourselves one thing, Puerto Ricans, that we will do our best to preserve the legacy of victory. It's not enough to maintain. We need to go beyond the confines of our community and promote this beautiful culture we have. We have to go beyond our thoughts of inferiority, our thoughts of depression, because that's what the devil is. People think the devil is some guy with two horns and a pointed tail. You know what the devil is? Depression, despair, and doubt. Don't doubt yourselves anymore. I go through the same thing. Don't doubt yourselves anymore, Puerto Ricans. You are the baddest, the most beautiful, the most capable of leading this nation and the world. It's beyond America. We can do it. So let's promise ourselves that from now on, we're going to raise men and women who are warriors. We're going to keep our relationships, raise our children healthy, keep our marriages. We're going to make money, and we're going to make sure we bind not only our own people, but other Latinos as well, and make this nation what it should be, the greatest city on the hill. Like and share.